Chapter 27. The Stair. Platter. Rain is pouring down. Zhao Kongqing holding a straight knife, dark red cloak has been soaked, blood all over him, has been extremely embarrassed. But his eyes were as bright as stars. It turns out that this is the Forbidden Market. What a ride. This is fucking awesome. Opposite him, the Ghost-Face King looked at his empty right arm with astonishment, his pale face as if twisted by shock. He could not understand how the mouse, which had just been ravaged unilaterally by himself, could release such a powerful force in an instant. But it's not smart enough, and it doesn't have that time either. Zhao Kongqing moved. Under the power of the medicine, his body has forgotten all the injuries and returned to the best state. He is like an arrow from the string, flying to the Ghost-Face King. Ho ho ho. Ghost-Face King eyes red, lost his right arm, it has been completely into a state of rage. Its muscles swelled, its whole body swelled in a circle, its legs bent, and its huge body sprang up in a huge splash. In the air, the two figures collided together. Boom, boom, boo. The movement of the two people is fast to blur. A black blade of the moon splashed out, leaving a large number of ferocious knife marks on the surrounding ground. Originally, Zhao Kongqing's knife could not break the Ghost-Face King's defense, and both strength and speed occupied the absolute bottom, which was also the fundamental reason why he had just been beaten so badly. And now there is the Min Xing Flash Moon. The lethality of Zhao Kongqing itself has reached the level of terror. Every knife can leave a deep blood mark on the body of the Ghost-Face King. Although from the point of view of strength and speed, Zhao Kongqing is still not as good as the Ghost-Face King, but when he makes up for the defects in lethality, other shortcomings can be made up by experience. Even if their physical quality is poor, Ghost-Face King a big cut, he can still put each other on the ground hammer. As it turned out, Mr. Chow was not lying. When he has the Forbidden Market, he can kill the Ghost Noodle 800 times. If he is given enough time, it is only a matter of time before he kills the Ghost Noodle King alone. The point is, he doesn't have that kind of time. Although the use of ghosts and spirits can make people's potential all burst, but the duration is not long. From the outbreak of Zhao Kongqing Forbidden Market to now has passed nearly 10 seconds, leaving him time is running out. Zhao Kongqing can clearly feel that his own strength is fading, and the hidden pain is gradually recovering. Even the black crescent is getting smaller and smaller. Ghost-Face King seems to be aware of his state change at the expense of forced consumption of the source, issued a more aggressive offensive. After a few more rounds, the Ghost King seized the opportunity and punched Zhao Kongqing in the chest. Thunk. A dull sound reverberated in the air. Zhao Kongqing was like a kite with a broken line, flying out and falling hard to the ground. Whiff of why does it hurt so much? The pain was like a raging wave, washing every nerve of Zhao Kongqing. He clenched his teeth and his eyes were full of blood. He coughed blood and slowly climbed out of the mud. His eyes were fixed on the Ghost-Face King, and the burning fire in his eyes still did not subside. He can still breathe, his Forbidden Market is still alive, he can still fight. Ghostface is not dead. He can't fall yet. He held on to the ground with his straight knife and swayed to his feet, and just then something happened. Boom. A loud noise came from behind Zhao Kongqing, and the sky overhead gave a slight shiver and a gap was opened. Zhao Kongqing stared at the sky, seemed to think of something fierce back. Not far behind him, the invisible canvas that covered the sky had cracked a corner. And in that incomplete crack, a young man with eyes dyed gold is slowly coming. Zhao Kongqing opened his mouth wide, and his expression was like seeing a ghost. You. How did you get in here? Lin Chia lifted his rain-soaked hair. His eyes were like a burning stove, hot and sacred. He sighed helplessness. Have to say, this no-ring airspace is really quite hard, but fortunately I have this pair of eyes, can find its weakest point, but also fortunately, it's night now. Zhao Kongqing only understood the previous sentence, but it still could not answer the doubts in his mind. How can you have so much power when you have just entered the realm? Not right. How did you break through the airspace without a weapon? You're not gonna believe this. Lin Seven Nights Calm open. I glared at it, it opened. Mr. Zhao. Lin Chia did not lie. Under the blessing of the night, he could feel that his eyes had been greatly enhanced, although not as exaggerated as 5 times but 2 times. Before getting the Star Dancer, he was able to kill the ghost face with the Seraphim Divine Power, and after the blessing of the night he was also able to break the no-ring airspace with the Divine Power. But this consumption of his mental force is too great. Just stare at a glance, almost directly will the mental force. Lin Chia looked at the ghost face king covered in bruises, and looked at the knife marks all over the ground, looking at the eyes of Zhao Kongqing suddenly strange up, and said that you did not ban the ruins? A man can cut this? Zhao Kongqing didn't bother to explain to him because he really doesn't have much time. Cut the crap and get out of the way. I can help you fight. I know. Just step aside. Zhao Kongqing turned to look at him. A knife, I cut a knife, this knife cut, you come to help me, not too late. Lin 7 Knights to stand aside. Zhao Kongqing took a deep breath, clenched the handle of the knife in his hand, and stared closely at the ghost face king not far away. Fella. This one you gotta watch it. Wait, is it? It'll be handsome. Not waiting for Lin 7 Knights' show disgust expression, Zhao Kongqing, legs on the ground, broke out in amazing speed towards the ghost face king. Ghost face king also seems to see that this man has reached the point of exhaustion of the oil lamp, did not choose to fight with him, but vigilant standing in place, always ready to resist his attack. The light in Zhao Kongqing's eyes is like a torch lit, getting brighter and brighter. He broke through the rain curtain and rushed to the ghost face. Nothing fancy. Raise your hand. Swing a blade. A crescent moon as large as ever sliced through the night, skimming the sky faster than the naked eye could catch, cutting in half every drop of rain in its path. The speed of this knife is too fast, so fast that it is as strong as the ghost face king, and it cannot be easily avoided. Even if it wanted to hide, it couldn't in its current state. And so, black crescent across the sky, gently cut off a hideous head with a pale grimace. Chapter 28// Purr and purr. The head of the ghost face fell. Zhao Kongqing shook his body and fell straight down. Lin Chia's eyes and hands quickly, steadily caught Zhao Kongqing's body. Until then he found Zhao Kongqing's physical condition is how bad. Scratches, bumps, falls. In the spiritual perception of Lin Chia, his body is densely covered with wounds, gurgling blood flows from it, and the rainwater mire under him is dyed red. At least 5 or 6 bones were broken on his body, and Lin Chia could not imagine how Zhao Kongqing could stand up under such serious injuries. The most fatal thing is that Lin Chia can clearly perceive that Zhao Kongqing's body is rapidly declining, his vitality is like the embers in the ashes, and it is getting weaker and weaker. Lin Chia sat beside Zhao Kongqing at a loss. Your body? Ahem. Nothing, just a legacy of forced potential. If you go on like this you'll die. I know. You're okay to die? Hey. Zhao Kongqing wanted to laugh, but in the middle of his laugh he coughed up blood again. It's not a loss, at least I experienced a forbidden market before I died, and what? And I have done it, and I have drawn my sword to the deep and stained the sky with blood. Zhao Kongqing shook his hand, touched the mud under him, touched a hand of blood. This amount of blood, even if it cannot dye the sky, dye a piece of earth should be no problem. Lin Chia was stunned. But there are no tens of thousands of people behind you and no one sees your efforts except me, so is it worth it? Zhao Kongqing smiled and did not answer. Do me a favor. You say. I have a packet of cigarettes in my pocket. Light them for me. Lin Chia groped in Zhao Kongqing's chest pocket for a while, touched a rain-soaked cigarette, and touched a lighter from the pants pocket. The smoke to Zhao Kongqing pick up, Lin Chia hand to protect the lighter to prevent the rain, even pressed a few times. Hey. Bah. A flash of flame ignited the cigarette in Zhao Kongqing's mouth. He inhaled hard and breathed a long breath as if the whole person was comfortable. Zhao Kongqing held a cigarette in his mouth, his eyes looking at the gray sky. The rain fell on his face and slid down his cheek. Lin 7 Knights. I cut the ghost noodle king, did you see that? I see it. Zhao Kongqing's mouth could not control the upward, he was very happy. Lin Chia nodded, was about to say something, suddenly the whole body slightly shook. He turned his head stiffly and saw a burly headless corpse slowly rising from the mud in the distance. On its body, a pale strange face is like a parasite crawling quickly from the legs to the back and from the back to the chest. Finally it grew on King Ghostface's chest. On the side of the newly severed head, the pale face had disappeared. Lin 7 Knight pupil suddenly contracted. Ghostface King. Not dead yet. Rain still falling. Zhao Kongqing looked at the sky, still remembering the scene, and did not notice the change in Lin Chia's expression. Fuck, I killed the guy who couldn't even kill the captain. Lin Chia, do you think I severe? Lin Chia silence for a moment, looked down to the bosom of Zhao Kongqing, heavy nod. Well, impressive. Having done so much, if I can survive, I must be a general, right? Sure. Lin Chia's eyes are full of certainty. You have to live. Hey hey. Zhao Kongqing seems to have imagined some picture, his face is filled with satisfaction. But the light in his eyes is fading. Lin Chia's hands trembled slightly. He shook Zhao Kongqing's body and whispered. Zhao Kongqing. You're not a general yet, you can't die yet. Zhao Kongqing seems to have been unable to hear the voice of Lin Chia. His eyes gradually blurred. He opened his mouth and his voice sounded like a mosquito. Lao Tzu. Was that handsome? Handsome. Lin Chia's lips trembled and he nodded firmly. Very handsome. Better looking than anyone I've ever seen. The corners of Zhao Kongqing's mouth curl slightly, his eyes slowly close and his body relaxes. Zhao Kongqing dead. Platter. Lin Chia sat there, the rain blurred his eyes, but his eyes still did not move from Zhao Kongqing. Until the heavy footsteps sounded again. Lin Chia pursed his mouth, took a deep breath and sat up slowly from the ground. He turned and his eyes fell on the headless corpse of the ghost-face king in the distance, as if the sun was burning in his eyes. He took 2 steps forward. Pull out a straight knife tilted into the ground. That's Zhao Kongqing's knife. Lin's 7 knights holding a knife, step by step towards the king of Ghostface. The rain will pour him wet, but it cannot pour out the anger in his heart. And those flaming golden eyes. Ghostface on the body of the face twisted, seems to be in the silent roar. Its pace is getting faster and finally like a staggering giant beast toward the Lin 7 knights hit. Zhao Kongqing has been cut off the right arm of the headless Ghostface king, can only rely on the claw of the left hand, issued a storm of attacks. Lin's 7 knights holding the knife, always able to predict its attack trajectory, and then lightning staggered to avoid the attack. He is like a butterfly in the middle of the night, swaying in the fierce wind, but never touching a leaf. The terrifying dynamic vision coupled with the speed of the starry night dancers makes the Forest 7 knights seem to incarnate ghosts at this moment. Lin's 7 knights continuously flashed the Ghostface king more than 10 attacks. Expressionless raised his hand, fierce knife. This time his target was not any vital point of the body, but the pale face residing in the chest of the ghost-faced king. If he's right, this grimace is the real face of the Ghostface. Although Zhao Kongqing beheaded the Ghostface king before, he did not hurt the Ghostface, so the Ghostface king can still rise from the dead. Lin Chia's body danced in the gap between the attacks of the Ghostface king, and the straight knife in his hand swung one after another, chopping on the face again and again. Although he has a 5-fold power bonus, he still can't do actual damage to the Ghostface king, leaving only a shallow blood stain. But it doesn't matter. If one doesn't kill you, 10, 100. This time he's gonna cut the Ghost King to pieces. Once, twice, 3 times. Ghostface King cannot touch Lin's 7 knights, but Lin's 7 knights can cut to Ghostface King. Gradually, Ghostface King chest on the grimace wound more and more bloody, expression is more and more painful. Soon the Ghostface's offensive slowed down. Lin Chia's eyes burst. Seize the opportunity, the backhand will hold the straight knife in the hand. As hard as you can, stick it in the face. A shrill howl echoed through the air. Chapter 29, 10 years. Lin Chia's knife pierced the face, but that was not the reason why the Ghostface King screamed in pain. What really made the Ghostface King issue such a heart-wrenching cry was the eyes of Lin's 7 knights. Under the glowing golden light, the ghost face was like a candle melted by the flame, melting rapidly. Although this golden light only appeared for a moment, but enough to make the dying Ghostface King completely lost life. Finally, under the watchful eyes of Lin Chia, the ghost face completely solidified into a crumpled semi-solid object, and no longer saw the face trace. At the same time, Lin Chia only felt a warm current along the hand holding the knife, slowly flowing into his body. He frowns slightly, lifts his foot to stomp on the ghost-faced body under his feet, pulls out the straight knife. After thinking about it, he bent down to pick up the pale ghost dough, and only felt that his eyes were black and he almost fell to the ground. Although there is the blessing of the Star Dancer, but after such a high-intensity thrilling battle, Lin Chia's own physical consumption is also great. The most critical is the use of the Serakai twice, completely drained his little spiritual force, and now it is some difficulty to walk. As Zhao Kongqing said, in his present state, The only way to face the Ghost Face King is death. If the Night's Watch had not injured the Ghost Face King first, if it had not been Zhao Kongqing who cut the Ghost Face King with his life, even if he had the eyes of Seraphim and the starry night dancer, it would still be impossible to be the Ghost Face King's opponent. This is the mythical creature that came into this world. This is the Sichuan border. The rain ran down his cheeks and he stepped step by step in a pool of blood, stumbling toward Zhao Kongqing's body. He walked over to the body and sat down slowly. I told you, hero, it's not so easy. Lin Chia looked at the cold Zhao Kongqing, muttering, you bet your life here how many people know? You know what? Now, miles away in the city center, the lights are still on. They sing in the KTV, they enjoy food in the hot pot restaurant, they have sex in the hotel, they eat popcorn in the movie theater. And you, only to die here in silence. They don't know that, in the middle of this pouring rain, a man with a knife has crushed a mythical creature. I don't know that I can have fun without a heart. Because someone gave their life for them. Is it really worth it? Lin Chia looked at Zhao Kongqing's pale face as if waiting for his answer. Sadly, he was never meant to speak again. Lin Chia continued, do you think I am afraid of death? You're wrong. I'm not afraid of death. Do you think a kid who saw an angel from a young age, lost his eyes, and was locked up in a mental institution is still in awe of death? I have tried many times in the dark to take my own life, but the light has brought me back again and again. The light that saves me is not the so-called sentient beings who are rushing about in the city for their desires and complaining about the injustice of the world. It's my family. Lin Chia looked up at the dark night sky and slowly opened his mouth. Sentient beings have never crossed me, so why should I use my own life to protect this sentient being? So I don't want to be a watchman. Lin Chia turned his head, his eyes fell on the low house in the heavy rain, and a little confusion emerged in his eyes. But I am the most indebted person. You saved my whole world. Me too, what can I do for you? Lin Chia paused and continued. I know that you night watchmen have good welfare. Even if you die, the wife and children at home can be the best treatment, let alone the future. The night watchman will certainly arrange for you in all aspects. You don't need money and neither do I. How am I supposed to pay you back? Lin Chia sat there in fear, and after a while she turned her head to look at the low room in the distance. His fists clenched in the rain, and powerless to loosen. He seemed to have made up his mind, supported the ground with a knife and struggled to stand up, muttering. My Lin 7 nights of this life is only guilty of 3 people, my aunt who rushes for 10 years, my cousin who is dragged down for 10 years. And you who saved the lives of 3 of us. You saved my whole world. In exchange, your world I help you keep 10 years. 10 years from now, no matter what happens, I have nothing to do with the Night's Watch. I have nothing to do with sentient beings. I'm still gonna come back to this house and get on with my life. Still. Is it fair? Lin Chia looked down at Zhao Kongqing in a pool of blood. He just lay quietly there like asleep. Since you don't object, it's settled. Lin Chia inserted the straight knife into the ground, facing one direction. On his knees. There in the rain was an ordinary low room. Aunt Little 7 is leaving. Please forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. Because I'm afraid to go back. I never want to leave. I heard that the treatment of the Night's Watch is good. In the 10 years I have worked, the subsidy is enough for you and your mother to live well. After 10 years, Shaoqi will let you live the best life. I'll pay you back in 70 years. Lin 7 nights kneeling in the rain, the water fell down the ends of his hair, wet eyes. He leaned over and banged his head heavily, his forehead pressed against the ground for a long time before slowly lifting. He stood up slowly, took one last look at the low room and pulled out the straight knife on the ground. Turn around and walk away. Shonan. I have arrived at the old residential area. Where is Lao Zhao? In the heavy rain, a soaked woman in a dark red cloak stood in the street, carrying a long black box behind her, bent over and gasping for breath. 2 buildings in front of you in the field. Wu Xiangnan's voice came out from the headset. He paused, his voice was a little depressed. Red Tassel. You have to be prepared. What preparation? We lost contact with him a few minutes ago, and Zhao's heraldic location has not moved for several minutes. Red Tassel's pupils suddenly contracted, her body shook slightly, and then shot like a sharp arrow, galloping toward the front. Don't talk nonsense. Maybe he's just tired. Red Tassel clenched her teeth and her voice had taken on a SOB tone. Red Tassel. You don't talk. The Red Tops roared. Red Tops. Zhao's coat of arms has moved. As soon as this sentence came out, Red Tassel's eyes suddenly emerged alight. I knew it, I knew it. He didn't die that easy. Where is he? He's moving slowly, It's getting closer to you. Red Ingalung subconsciously stopped the pace. Eyes fell in the corner not far away. The dull sound of thunder echoed in the distant clouds, and the rain, like a curtain of water, obscured her vision. Vaguely, a figure came slowly from the rain. It was a teenager. He had a knife on his back. He held the body of a man in his hands. He stopped and roared with all his strength. It's like announcing to the world. Junior Lin Chia, send General Zhao Kongqing victorious. Chapter 30, The Rain Stopped. Inside the house. My aunt looked up at the clock on the wall and was transfixed. On the table in front of him, a full table of dishes has been cold, and there is almost no difference when Lin Chia left. I do not know how long after Yang Jin reached out and put a piece of meat into his aunt's bowl with chopsticks. Mom, let's eat. Alas, Aunt shook her head and sighed. You say your brother ran out in the middle of the meal. How come he hasn't come back yet? Is nothing going to happen? Don't worry, he will not have an accident. Maybe those classmates of my brother saw his eyes healed and insisted on dragging him out to eat. Yang Jin softly consoled. Hearing Yang Jin's words, Aunt's expression was obviously relaxed, but then she became worried. But he went out without his umbrella. Mom, Yang Jin stood up, pointed out the window, calmly opened his mouth. The rain has stopped. The rain did stop. The hazy moonlight penetrated through the clouds, spilling into the silence of the night. Not far away in the open space, the broken sign has been taken away, the flesh and blood on the ground has been cleaned clean, leaving only a ferocious knife mark on the ground, silently talking about everything last night. Maybe tomorrow morning someone will discover this mysterious crack and they will make a lot of guesses, but they will never know the truth. A few drops of rain slipped down the eaves and landed in the muddy little pool, rippling. Splat. The sole of one foot stepped in the pool and made a splash. In the dark of night, a small black mangy dog was walking unhurriedly in the open space covered with knife marks. Around his neck hung a small cloth bag. It went through a crack, came to a clear clearing and stopped. 10 minutes ago here lay the body of a man. Its head was down and there was a faint glow in its dark eyes. All of a sudden, he opened his mouth. Speak out of one's mouth. The sound is deep and big. The spirit returns. Peace Bridge, Seongnan City. Peace Bridge is a bridge in the outskirts of Seongnan City. Under the bridge is the Jiangnan Grand Canal that crosses the whole city, and countless pedestrians and vehicles pass through this bridge every day, which is one of the landmarks of Seongnan City. At the end of the Peace Bridge there are small storefronts on both sides, and in one of the seemingly most inconspicuous storefronts, there is an old big red sign. Peace Office. Like other shops near the Peace Bridge, it is not big but more than 200 square, which is a little bigger than the Lanzhou noodles next to the average school. It is not only because the name is too popular, but most importantly the storefronts on either side of it are too conspicuous. On the left is a very festive arrangement red wedding company called Peace Wedding. On the right, there is a funeral shop with white satin hanging everywhere and wreaths, called Peace Funeral and Funeral Dragon. On the left, a wedding is celebrated and on the right a funeral is carried out. In the middle of these two extremes, the Peace Office is a transparent shop, unable to attract attention. If there is any characteristic, it may be its name. The general firm's specialization is different. There are professional legal firms, professional detective firms, professional accounting firms. But this store with no prefix, just the word peace, makes it hard to figure out what it does. Right now the Peace Office underground. In the spacious and bright hall, a young man was sitting on the sofa with his head down, staring at the floor tiles under his feet and saying nothing. In the great hall sat 6 others. So, you're the Seraphim agent that Zhao was looking for? Wu Xiangnan sat on the sofa on the other side looking at Lin Chia asked. That's right. After a short silence, Wu Xiangnan spoke slowly. My name is Wu Xiangnan, the deputy leader of the Night Watchman 136 team in Seongnan City, and the one in black beside the pillar is the Captain Chen Mai. Lin 7 Knights along the eyes of Wu Xiangnan looked past. Not far away from a pillar, a man with his hands in his pockets is silently watching him. Aware of the eyes of Lin 7 Knights, Chen Mai slightly nodded. Wu Xiangnan turned his head and looked at the remaining 4 people. Don't just stand there, introduce me. Now the woman sitting alone on the single sofa, holding her legs, her hair still wet, looked up slightly, revealing a pair of red eyes. Night Watchman 136 Frontal Force Red Fringe. Lin 7 Knights know her. The reason why they appear here is the red tassel will bring her. When she finished speaking, the man standing next to her, still holding the towel in his hand, smiled and said, Night's Watch Unit 136 Frontal Force win. Then holding together at the side, the girl who also cried into tears raised her head slightly and said softly, Night Watch 136 Team, Combat Auxiliary Part-Time Military Doctor, Xishounan. Night Watch Unit 136 Long Range Fire Support Leng Xian. The man sitting with a sniper rifle said coldly. After seeing everyone introduce themselves, Wu Xiangnan spoke again. Lin Chia, right? About the death of Chao Kongqi. Is there anything you'd like to add? I've made that very clear. Lin 7 Knights calmly said, Zhao Kongqing open, no ring airspace, alone and Ghostface King death and finally die together. Were you there when they fought? I'm here. How did you get into the no-ring zone? Gave it a look and it opened. Wu Xiangnan opened his mouth, frowning slightly. Can you describe the scene of their battle to me in detail? Like how did Chao Kongqing kill the Ghostface King? With one stroke of the sword he cut off a huge black crescent and cut off the king's head. Lin Chia said. Black crescent. Wu Xiangnan frowned and thought. At this time Qin Mai, who has been silent, suddenly opened his mouth. It is Min Xing Flash Moon. Lao Zhao used ghosts and gods to lead. Inspired his own forbidden market. When Chimal was surprised to open his mouth. Sequence 083 of the Min Xing Shining Moon? It's a high-risk forbidden market. I didn't think. Uncle Zhao was really right, I thought he was just narcissistic. Xishounan pursed his mouth and opened his mouth weakly. No, he's a narcissist. Qin Mai's mouth slightly raised, eyes flashed a trace of memory. I think that guy when he saw his own forbidden market, did not dare to believe it? If we had been there he would have pestered us that his forbidden market was the most handsome of all. Red Tassel seems to think of some interesting picture, the corners of her mouth slightly raised, but soon the light in her eyes dimmed down. Wu Xiangnan looked into Lin Chia's eyes and opened his mouth again. There is another problem from the corpse of the Ghostface King. Its fatal injury is a series of knife wounds, and there are inexplicable burning marks. But the moon doesn't seem to have this characteristic. What's going on? Lin Chia frowned, looked into Wu Xiangnan's eyes and opened his mouth word by word. I have made it very clear that Chao Kongqing will face the Ghostface King alone and fight to the death. Finally, Single killed the Ghost Noodle King. Chapter 31. Pray for ink. Wu Xiangnan heard Lin 7 Knights answer, frown more and more tight. Just when he still wanted to ask something, Hong Ying suddenly sat up, stared at Wu Xiangnan with red eyes and shouted angrily. Wu Xiangnan. What do you mean by that? Zhao Kongqing is dead. Our team is dead. And you're still going after him. Isn't there a little sadness in your heart? Wu Xiangnan opened his mouth, paused for a moment and calmly said, Lao Zhao is dead. I am also very sad, but the truth is equally important. Red Task Dead glared at him, chest sharp ups and downs. She laughed twice, the hand of the black box heavy hit the ground, turned to the basement exit. One side of the warm Chimal want to persuade 2 sentences, but feel that the sleeve was pulled a little, confused turned his head. Xishounan was standing beside him shaking his head. So those on the scene. Soon enough. Wu Xiangnan is to ask Lin 7 Knights has been standing on the edge of the Captain Qin Mai suddenly opened, interrupted his words. Lin Chia has said very clearly as for the details. There's no need to follow up. This matter it's over. Mr. Qin put his hands in his pockets, walked up behind Mr. Wu and patted him on the shoulder. Wu Xiangnan stunned to turn his head, see Qin Mai that undoubted eyes, hesitate for a moment, helpless nod. Qin Mai went to the sofa opposite Lin Chia and sat down slowly. The Zhao Kongqing thing is over, then it's time for us to talk about you, Lin Chia. Talk about what? As far as I know, Chao Kongqing once invited you to join the Night's Watch, but you refused, and later he even told us that he lost you. If you don't come out with Chao Kongqing's body, we may never find you again. In that case, why do you want to join the Night's Watch now? Qin Mai looked at Lin 7 Knights' eyes deep. To pay him back. Lin 7 Knights calmly said. Qin Mai a blank human feeling? I had a deal with him. I'd join the Night's Watch. Lin 7 Knights paused, but I have one condition. What conditions? I'll only be at the Night's Watch for 10 years and after that I'll be gone. Hear Lin Chia this sentence. All the people present are one startled. Expression suddenly strange up. Night watchmen are not community volunteers and once they join they can't leave, so the 10 years you're talking about. I can't promise you that. No one in the entire Night's Watch can give you that promise. Lin Chia is about to say something, Chinmay said again. But if 10 years from now you have the skill to leave the watch on your own, and the watchmen have nothing to do with you, that will be another matter. Anyway, if you want to go through the proper process of leaving the Night's Watch. No chance. Yes. Unexpectedly, Lin Chia very simply nodded. 10 years later, if I cannot go, that is my problem. Hear Lin Seven Knights this almost lawless answer. Si Xiaonan and Warm Chimo are surprised to open their mouths. Even the iceberg of cold Xian eyelids jumped. More see Lin Seven Knights' 2 eyes. In that case, I'll submit your application to the upper management, but you won't be on the team until you've been through training. Training camp? The Night's Watch is a semi-military management organization. All new members of the Night's Watch before officially joining the Night's Watch are required to participate in a year of training, learning combat, firearms, combat deployment, the use of the forbidden market and other skills. When does it start? Every year in September, that's a month from now, and until you're done with training, you're only a temporary member of our team. Speaking of this, Chinmay is like thinking of something, solemnly reminded. Temporary team, we don't pay for room and board. Lin Chia. No room and board? What happened to the Night's Watch's welfare? How can you be so cheap? Deh. So where am I staying for a month? Lin Seven Knights panic. Back to your aunt's? No. There's a 99% chance he won't come out and he'll just run off with the whole family. But he was sure to let his aunt know that he was safe at least, so he was going to write a letter to tell her that he was going to join the army, which would put her at ease. But now the question was, because the Night's Watch wouldn't let him stay, would he have to sleep on the streets? It's okay. You can stay at my place. At this time, the red tassel who has been secretly hiding behind the door leaned out of her head and whispered, My home is still very big, give you a room is no problem. Red tassel, didn't you leave angry? When Chimo widened his eyes. I remembered I didn't take my stuff. I'm back, okay? Redding glared at her, stepped into the room, lifted the black box on the ground, turned and glared at Wu Xiangnan. Wu Xiangnan. In Wu Xiangnan's speechless eyes, Redding walked to the front of Lin Chia, gently said, Seven Knights brother, rest assured, since it is our team members, sister must cover you. Temporary. He's a temporary. Chinmay is very serious correction, and you two are not necessarily who is big, you cannot so hasty call him brother. Captain, you're too rigid. Red tassel to Chinmay spit out tongue, pulled down a piece of paper from the table, wrote down an address into the hands of Lin Seven Knights. Seven Knights brother, sister, I have to go to gun practice. If I can't find my people after the formalities, I will go back first. Red Ying's face and Lin Chia stick very close. So close that Lin Chia can clearly smell the light aroma on her body, see her eyelashes tremble slightly. 2 clear eyes smiling at the forest. Seven Knights, like a wong of golden maple leaf forest autumn water, clear and moving and full of warmth. I have to say the red tops are very good looking. Fair skin, petite nose, red lips, delicate features, plump. Lin Seven Knights promptly moved back to his line of sight. The face inexplicably surfaced to blush. He grew so big, or the first time so close to the girl, or Red Tassel such a natural clear girl. Thank you Sister Red. Ah dash. Redding suddenly stood up and laughed excitedly, giving Wu Xiangnan a big fright behind him. You're so crazy. Wu Xiangnan said angrily. You fuck me. Red fringes with a small mouth, who let our new brother called so good. Lin Chia mouth slightly twitched, subconsciously turned his head to one side. Just then when Chima smiled and came over, Redding, you don't bully new people. 7 Knights go, I'll show you around, by the way, tell you about the Night Watch. Lin 7 Knights such as Amnesty, go out with Wen Chima along the stairs to the ground. 7 Knights. Corridor. Wen Chima suddenly opened. What's up, Wen Chima Senior? Ahem, don't call me senior, it's too raw and I'm probably only 2 or 3 years older than you. When Chiamo some embarrassed scratched his head, just call me by name, or like them call me Chiamo. Alright. Actually, I have a favor to ask. When Chima stopped and looked at Lin Chia's eyes seriously. What? Tonight. Can I stay with you at Red Tassels? I've wanted to go for a long time. Lin Chia. Chapter 32, The Night's Watch. Lin's 7 Knights looked to Wen Chimo, expression gradually strange. Wen Chimo smiled and said, I'm just joking with you. I see that you are too depressed in there, so you can relax. He looked at Lin Chia's eyes, his eyes gradually softened. After all, anyone who witnessed such a fierce battle cannot easily come out, let alone you are only a high school student. Lin fell into a trance on 7 Knights. He pressed his lips together and was silent. When Chimo said is right, even Lin Chia himself did not notice. Now his mental condition is how bad. Witnessing the death of Chao Kongqing and fighting desperately with the ghost-face king alone, leaving the small broken harbor where he has lived for more than 10 years, and joining the strange and dangerous Night's Watch alone. Although he is relatively mature, he is still a teenager at heart. Under such a huge change, the pressure on his back has overwhelmed him. When I just sat there, I found that your state was very bad. In fact, not only me but also Red Ing. Otherwise she would not take the initiative to invite you to stay at her house, would not hold down the sadness in her heart, laugh and quarrel with the captain and vice captain. You're new here, you don't know her, and when you do you'll find she too kind. Lin 7 Knights 1 shocked. He still remembers he came out in the rain holding Zhao Kongqing. Red Tassel Cree into tears of the picture, then recall just Red Tassel's smile seems to hide the thick sadness. Why would she care about my feelings if she was already so sad? In fact, not only me and Red Fringes, in addition to the present Xiaonan that single-minded, there are ice people Cold Xian, others also see, but the captain is some proud Jiao, can only be dark with the help of Red Fringes to liven up the atmosphere. Xiaonan is too shy, embarrassed to speak. When Chimo turned around and continued to climb the stairs, Yu opened his mouth. Maybe before you came, you thought the Night's Watch should be a bunch of mechanical cold-killing machines, but when you've been here long enough, you'll realize that's not really the case. Lin Chia followed Wen Chimo to the first floor, through the disguised office hall, pushed the door out. It was late at night. The bustling Peace Bridge is silent and empty. There is still rain on the ground that has just rained. On the whole Peace Bridge Street, only the peace office is still in business. Before I came, I thought the Night's Watch was a big organization, located in a no-go military zone, with planes and tanks parked in it, and military exercises happening at every turn. Lin's 7 Knights, looking at the silent street scene, slowly open. When Chimo froze, turned to look at Lin Chia, could not help but laugh out. Coincidence? Before I entered the Night's Watch, I also thought so. Who let those science fiction movies are so played? He looked up at the hazy moonlight in the sky. But although there are no military restricted areas, planes and tanks, the Night's Watch is a very large organization. Why are there only 6 people here? A Night's Watch is not the same as a military force. When Chimo shook his head, the centralized management of the military exclusion zone you mentioned, although easy to manage and efficient, but it has a fatal flaw. It's just too low mobility. For example, today Songnan City appeared a mythical creature. After the local police confirm, send a message to the base located in Shangjing City, and then the base review and then send people to Songnan City investigation. The shortest is 2 days to start the investigation. And in 2 days a lot of people might die. Therefore, the best solution is to station a team of night watchmen in each city. And when a suspected mythological creature is found in the city, the garrison will go directly to investigate and solve the problem. And we are the night watchmen stationed in Songnan City. Lin Chia mused. No wonder the division of labor of several of you is so clear, each has its own strengths. Yes, from main force to combat support to long-range support to command. Everyone is good at something and can work together. This is the standard pattern of every garrison team. What if there were mythical creatures in a city that the local Night's Watch couldn't solve? Then request special teams support from the top. When Chimo held up 4 fingers, in Bactria, in addition to the night watchmen stationed in each city, there are 4 special teams who are not stationed in any city, but go there when there is a problem that the local night watchmen cannot solve. They don't have a team number, they just have their own code name, which is the glory of being a special team. Special teams. Lin Chia asked curiously, have you seen it? I have not seen it with my own eyes, but 2 years ago, 3 mythical creatures of the sea appeared at the same time in Huaihai City next door, which almost caused a disaster. Then a special team of 6, code-named Mask, came out of nowhere and wiped it all out in one night. A look of longing appeared in Wen Chimo's eyes. It is said that when the sun rose the next day, the blood of the mythical creatures stained the bay red, and the masked team had quietly moved on to the next city. Sounds kind of cool. Right. Do they have any requirements for hiring? Of course, and it's very harsh. When Chima sighed, first of all, the members of the special team must be at least the top of the Chuan border. The pinnacle of Chuan. And what is the highest state among you six? Yes, the captain, he is also Chuan border, but still a million miles from the top. When continued, also to join the special team, it is not only the realm, but also the particularity. What specificity? Something different from the rest of the Night's Watch, like the super high-risk forbidden market sequence, the first 80. Or excel in a certain field like the Grand Master of Dodo, the Grand Master of Kendo. Or, he is the agent of some god. God's agent? Is that special? What kind of language are you talking about? When Chima glanced at Lin Chia, his eyes full of envy, you are a seraphim agent. You think that the divine agent is like a cabbage on the street? Isn't it? Lin Seven Knights at a loss asked. Of course not. When Chima has never seen such shameless, the agents of the gods on the human side are extremely scarce species. In the whole Night Watch, there are only 8 or 9 basically distributed in various special teams, or the captain of the Night Watch in a big city, is extremely important. Damn, I envy you, boy. When Chima broke a rare coarse mouth but sighed, the potential is very high. When you grow up, the small town of Tsangnan will not accommodate you. Maybe one day you'll be the captain of the Night's Watch stationed in Shanghai City, or you'll join a special team and travel the world. And it's not impossible to be the captain of a special team. In short, your future is limitless. Chapter 33. Carve a tablet. Oh. Lin Chia's expression is very calm. When Chima looked at him in surprise, oh? Not anymore. What else? There's no rush of heart and blood at all? A little, but only a little. Lin Chia answered faintly, I think about the promotion. Not interested. When Chima gave him a strange look. Forget that you are a heretic, who will rebel from the Night's Watch in 10 years. Lin Chia did not confirm or deny and continued to ask. According to your words, these 4 special teams are already the ceiling of the Summer War Force? Of course not, they may be the ceiling of team strength in the Night's Watch, but they are definitely not the ceiling of Bactrian strength. You mean in Bactria there was something like the Night's Watch? No, Bactria has only 1 watchman, but above the watchman there are 5 human ceilings. The human ceiling? As the name suggests, it is the highest war power that humans can achieve, and because their strength is close to the ancient gods of mythology, they are also called demigods. In the body of a man standing with a god? I know you're paraphrasing a movie classic, but that's exactly what it is. When Chima looked up at the night sky, his eyes full of worship. These 5 men are the pillars of humanity, the only hope that humanity can see in this fog. Who are they? I don't know. They're so far away that few people have seen them or know their names, but there are some interesting rumors. What rumors? These 5 human ceilings are called 1 sword, 1 ride, 1 statue, 1 nothingness, and 1 master. Sword, riding, honor, nothingness, master. What kind of rumor is that? There's no useful information, is there? It is said that the supreme commander of our Night's Watch is one of these 5 human ceilings, but it's been a long, long time since anyone's seen him pull a punch. I have a question. You ask. Mankind up to now. Have you ever killed a god? Lin Chia pointed to the sky, not the kind of strange mythical creatures, but the real ancient gods that exist in myths. When Chima was silent for a moment and shook his head, I don't know, but I think there shouldn't be. In the fog, human beings are like blindfolded lambs. We do not know what is happening in the world. We do not know when the end will come. In this age when the existence of gods is confirmed, if humans really kill one god, it will inevitably cause the panic of all the other gods so that they are likely to join forces to destroy the human beings first. And the situation that humans will face will be even more severe. Lin Chia nodded. I understand. Anything else to ask? Lin Chia thought for a moment. Do temporary players have welfare subsidies? I do. Then there are no further questions. So of all the questions you ask, only the last one is the one you care about the most? Of course. Lin Chia nodded naturally. What special team, human ceiling? Those things are so far away from me, I like to keep my feet on the ground. All right. When Chima turned his head and asked, Are you sleepy? Not sleepy. Then I'll take you somewhere. In the middle of the night. Is it serious? Serious. Worm Chiink mouth a smoke. All right. Lin Chia told a sentence. Don't forget I am still a minor. Wen Qima. A few minutes later the car slowly stopped in the silent wilderness. Lin's 7 knights opened the door and get off, looked around for a circle, looking at Wen Qima's eyes full of vigilance. Why did you bring me here? Wen Qima silently rolled his eyes and pointed to a cemetery not far away. There. Lin Chia looked in the direction of his finger and fell silent. He could vaguely guess what Wen Qiamo had brought him here for. The 2 men followed the narrow path and soon came to the perimeter of the cemetery. The cemetery was not large, significantly smaller than the one on the edge of town, but the workmanship of the gravestones and the spacing between them were far from the average cemetery. The gravestones here, they seem more elaborate, more orderly. Here is the graveyard of the night watchman in Tsongnan. Wen Qinma calmly opened. Since 1936, the Bactria Special Biological Response Group was officially transformed into the Night Watch, and after taking the form of management of one city and one team, this place was divided into the final fate of the Tsongnan Night Watch after the death of the battle. Of course, this is only the default destination. When everyone officially joins the Night's Watch team, they can explain whether they will enter the Night's Watch cemetery after death or cremation, or bury back to their hometown and so on. At that time, Zhao Kongqing chose to be buried in the graveyard of the Night's Watch. He said that his body was stained with too much blood, and he was afraid to frighten the ancestors. As he said this, Wen Qima's mouth raised a smile, as if he had seen Zhao Kongqing heartless when he said this. Lin Chia silently looked at the tombstones around him, frowning slightly. So many. In this cemetery, there are at least 60 or 70 different tombstones and most of them are new. It's 85 years since 1936. Wen Qima said with emotion. At the beginning, our sacrifice is really not much after all. There will not be several mythical creatures in each city every year, and even if they appear, the realm is not high. But as time goes by, the mythical creatures come faster and faster, and their strength is more and more terrible, and our casualties more and more. Nearly half of these tombstones you're looking at were killed in the last 20 years. Before Captain Chen Mai came to Tsongnan City, it is said that 2 players died here every year. Until the captain came, the death rate did not drop significantly. Lin's 7 Knights' mind emerged that silent black figure, couldn't help but admire up. But Zhao Kongqing just died tonight, his tombstone has already been made? Lin's 7 Knights suddenly thought of what, confused asked. No. So let's come here. Wen Qiamo raised his hand and pointed to the distance. Look at that. Lin Chia looked down his hand and saw a faint light in the dark cemetery. Under the weak light, Hong Ying's eyes were red, sitting next to a vacant lot, holding a tablet without words in her hand, holding a carving pen in her right hand, carving little by little. Tears rolled down her cheeks on the tablet and were hastily wiped dry. At this moment, where is she still half the vitality before? Didn't she say gun practice? Lin's 7 Knights gawking at this scene. She lied. Wen Qima shook his head. The tombstone of the Night's Watch, carved by the deceased's teammates. This is an unwritten rule. Originally, this monument should be carved by me. Although she didn't say it, I actually knew very well in my heart that she was actually the one who wanted to help Zhao Kongqing carve a monument. They have a good relationship. A really good relationship. So even though she lied and told me all this bullshit, I turned a blind eye and let her do the carving. Lin's 7 Knights and Wen Qima stood there quietly, looking at the red fringes of the inscription, for a long time without words. In the misty moonlight, in the dead cemetery, only the carving knife in the hand of the red tassel made a slight lament. Won't you come up and say hello? For a while Lin's 7 Knights asked Wen Qiamo. To say hello now would embarrass her, she's too thin-skinned. But here we are. I feel like a pervert snooping on other people's secrets. Lin's 7 Knights in the heart some awkward. Wen Qima turned to look at him with a smile in his eyes. Do you think, are we the only perverts snooping around? Chapter 34. What do you want? The cemetery in the woods on the other side. The south of Hunan. De. Crouching on the ground, Wu Xiangnan tiger body a shock, fierce back. See the bearer after the relief. Captain, don't walk around in the graveyard in the middle of the night. You scared me to death. Wu Xiangnan touched his pounding heart and took a deep breath. Chen Mai quietly sat down beside Wu Xiangnan, looking at the red fringes carved alone not far away, whispered. I thought you were all tactical in your thick head, but I didn't think you'd be here. Wu Xiangnan wight him a glance in the middle of the night. Who believe she will go to gun practice I have so slow? I do. Wu Xiaonan. How about Qiyink? He should be here, right? With Lin's 7 knights lying on the opposite ravine. What about Ling Xian and Xiaonan? Ling Xuan already don't know where to go, Xiaonan afraid of black dare not come. The two men fell silent. For a long time Qin spoke again. I'm glad you're here. As for it. Qin nodded seriously, which shows that you are not the Wu Xiaonan who just climbed out of the pile of dead people. Even if you deny it, It's already changing. Why would I deny it? Wu Xiaonan calm opening from the fall of the Blue Rain team to now. It has been nearly years. I this waste always have to come out. Can meet you. I am Wu Xiaonan. Good luck. Qin sighed. In their eyes, you are a rigid man who only has rules and norms in his eyes. The last time I eavesdropped on Red Ing and Xiaonan Corner, they also said that you can't find a wife in your life. If they knew you were a member of the famous Blue Rain squad, they'd be shocked. I'm just a loser who survived and I don't deserve that name anymore. Wu Xiaonan calmly said, now, I just want to be an ordinary 136 team members. Qin patted Wu Xiaonan on the shoulder and said nothing. What do you think? Wu Xiaonan suddenly spoke. What? The new guy Lin Chia. Nice kid. I'm not talking about his potential, I'm talking about his character. I'm talking about character. Wu Xiaonan paused and continued. The Ghost Face King was killed by him if I am not wrong. Zhao Kongqing only beat it badly but not to death. Does it matter? Isn't it important? Qin looked into Wu Xiaonan's eyes and slowly opened his mouth. The child is willing to push the credit to Zhao Kongqing. This is his choice. Why do you persist? You have been with Lao Zhao for so long. What is his dream, don't you know? Killing a Kawasaki mystery, that's great. This is going to help that kid's future. Do you think he cares about that? Wu Xiaonan was speechless. Qin turned his eyes away from the red tassel and landed in the distant ravine, the calm opening. Like I said, the kid's fine. At this time, dozens of miles from the cemetery, quietly squatting on the mountain, Ling Xuan put down his telescope, the corners of his mouth slightly upward. One by one, hiding a little technical content is not, this time I was photographed. Click click click. Ling Xuan hand telescope issued a few light ring, from below fell out of a few high-definition photos. There are red tassel alone engraved steel. There are 7 knights of Lin and Wen Chiawei chat. There are 2 big men in the woods engage in homosexuality. He picked them up like a treasure and carefully placed them in a locked box. The box is full of photos. Funny, awkward, yet heartwarming photos of Squad 136. In 2 hours, Lin Chia stood in front of a luxury villa, dumbfounded. He looked down, reconfirmed the address on the note, looked at the villa again and gasped. So she's a rich woman. Flynn 7 Knights did not go wrong. The front of this, it is the home of red fringes. Vaguely, Lin Chia's mind seems to echo her words. My home is still very big. This is more than big. Lin 7 Knights hesitated for a long time at the door of the villa, and finally made up his mind to go forward and knock on the door. Before he and Wen Qima in the cemetery has been silently looking at the red ribbon carving monument. Until she finished carving, 2 people left. And in order not to let the Red Ing suspect, he also came here half an hour late, leaving a time difference. The door knocked only 2 times and Lin 7 Knights withdrew his hand. A sound of slippers came faintly from behind the door, and then the door of the villa was opened. Behind the door, the red tassel standing there in her plush pajamas, her eyes slightly red, and a smile appeared on her face after seeing Lin 7 Knights. 7 Knights brother, come on in. Why are you back so late? Kemmer kept me talking until now. Lin 7 Knights said with conscience. Walked into the room, Lin 7 Knights bowed his head, this only to find that Red Ing had prepared a pair of slippers for him. That the house is not clean today, it may be a little messy, you don't mind. Red Ing one hand with the hair on the fingertips wrapped a few circles, some embarrassed to say. It's already clean. Lin Chia looked around and said helplessly, and as long as there is a place to live, I am already very happy. It has to be said that whether it is decorated or furnished, Red Ing home reveals a kind of elegant atmosphere, which makes Lin 7 Knights, who has never lived in a villa, some constraint. He's never slept over at a girl's house. Sister Hongying, is it 7 Knights? A soft voice came from the second floor. I saw Sleepy Xiaonan is on the fence, quietly asked. Red Tops nodded. Lin 7 Knights alone turned to look at Red Tassel. Hong Ying smiled at him. Because I usually do not live in the dormitory, Xiaonan alone in the dormitory I do not trust, so usually let her live here with me. So it is. At this time Lin Seven Nights seems to think of what, uncle and aunt? Will I bother them if I just move in? Oh. Hong Ying shook her head. 5 years ago they disappeared in the fog. Xiaonan did not come before. Here or I live alone. They're with the detection team? Yeah, it is. Lin Chia opened his mouth. He knew he asked the wrong words, but he did not know what to say to comfort. Just then Hong Ying pointed to a room on the second floor. You live in that room. I have already packed. The blue towel and dental gear in the bathroom is yours. Don't confuse Ah. Red Tassel walks up the stairs in her slippers. Then, as if she thought of something, she turned her head to look at Lin Chia. By the way, if you want to get into my room with Nan, you have to knock. If I find out what you're up to. Red Tassel lifted up the sleeve of her nightgown to reveal her snow-white arm, and waved it viciously. Don't forget, I'm the face of the team and no one can beat me except the captain. Sister's long gun but no eyes. After saying that, she turned back smartly, her long black hair hanging naturally, and strode into her room. Lin Chia. Drooping aside, Xiaonan yawned and waved to Lin Chia good night. Boom. 2 doors closed and the corridor was quiet again. Lin Seven Nights suddenly thought of something, walked quickly to the door of the red fringes, knocked on the door a few times. Creak. The door opened slowly. Carrying a long gun, Red Tassel face is not good standing behind the door, raised the chin. What do you want? Chapter 35. We are the regular army. Under the warm light, the tip of the long gun radiated a little cold ons. Fucking. She actually hid a long gun in her room. Lin Chia swallowed and hurriedly opened her mouth. No, Sister Hong Ying. I just wanted to ask. Do you have a pen and paper? Red Tassel, at night what do you need a pen and paper for? Write a letter. Think so. You wait here. Red Tassel put her long gun aside and returned to the room to rummage. Standing at the door of the Lin Seven Nights, can clearly see the situation in the red-fringed room. Surprisingly, Hong Ying's room is very simple, even can be said to be simple. In this room there is only a hard bed, a lamp, a desk and a stuffed animal beside the bed. No frills, no expensive Simmons, no sofas, no air conditioning. Lin Seven Nights is hard to imagine in such a luxurious villa. Red Tassel room can be simple to this point. Rather than the master bedroom of the villa, it is more appropriate to say that the grass hut of the ascetic monk. Only the cute stuffed animal is the only thing in the room that's Red Tassel's age. Paper, paper, paper. Found it. Redding, eyes alight, holding a pen and a few pieces of paper to the door, handed Lin Seven Nights. Sister Red, usually, they all sleep here? Red Tassel looked back and nodded, as a night watchman cannot be too addicted to material enjoyment, to hone their will at all times. If this villa wasn't my parents' legacy and needed constant care, I might have sold it and gone back to living in the dorm. Lin Seven Nights silence for a moment. I know, thank you. Good night. Good night. Go to bed early. Hong Ying smiled and waved at him, closing the door gently. Lin Chia went downstairs, sat down on a chair in the living room and turned on a lamp overhead. On the table is a piece of paper, a pen. The song of the lonely cicadas sounded faintly outside the window. The heat of the summer night swept away after the rain, and the silhouettes of leaves were cast on the table by the moonlight. Lin Seven Nights holding a pen, sitting at the table motionless. I don't know how long after that he was gently writing. Write the first line on the paper. To Aunt Yongjing. Mom. Yongjing shook his aunt sleeping on the dining table and shouted softly. Aunt opened the dim eyes, slowly raised her head, one hand rubbed the sore neck and asked, What's wrong? Is your brother back? Yongjing shook his head. No, but there was a letter under the door. A letter? Yep. I think I wrote it. Little Seven. Come on, let's have a look. Aunt anxiously said, while watching Yongjing open the letter, said, The child did not come back all night, did not say hello, did not come in at the door. What do you mean he slipped a message? Yongjing opened the letter. Aunt took over. 2 people together, carefully looked up. For a moment, Aunt put down the letter with trembling hands and sat there stupidly. Mom, I said he was in the army. Yongjing picked up the letter and turned to look at his aunt. Join the army, join the army? How is this? All of a sudden you joined the army? Aunt muttered, never heard him talk about it. Oh, I told you. Yongjing nodded earnestly. He said that. In the past he often told me privately, in fact his biggest dream is to join the army, but his eyes have not been good, so he temporarily gave up this dream. Yongjing paused and pointed to some words on the letter. And you see, my brother also said in his letter that after his eyes had healed he secretly signed up for the army, But he did not tell you because he was afraid you would stop him, and he secretly boarded the train to Gigihar last night. That's not true. What's wrong? According to this letter which you only got this morning, he should be on the train. Auntie's brain has a rare light up. Yang Jin scratched his head. In fact, I only found this letter this morning. It is possible that it was there last night, I just didn't see it. But this is so sudden. Aunt cannot accept this fact. In 7 nights the child's eyes just good. What if to go to the army and relapse? No. No way. I'm not sure. I'm going to the government. I want my nephew back. Aunt hurriedly stood up regardless of his slippers, opened the door and hurried out. Suddenly she stopped. Outside the house, 2 men in military uniforms were standing awkwardly as if about to knock. If Lin Chia were here, he would immediately recognize the 2 men as Chen Mai and Wen Qima. Who are you guys? Asked the aunt, frowning. Chen Mai and Wen Qima looked at each other. Wen Qima's face suddenly appeared a gentle smile, and he respected his aunt with a military salute that was not so standard. Hello, is this Ms. Wang Fong, Lin Chia's guardian? Yes, I am. We are from the political office of the Southern Army, here to send you some procedures and subsidies for Lin Chia to join the army. Military and political office? Aunt asked suspiciously. What is that place? That is they're in charge of recruiting recruits. Oh. Well then you guys sit inside. My aunt stepped back, let them in and turned to make them tea. I was just about to go to you. Something's not right. Chen Mai and Wen Qima just sat down. The latter heard this sentence. Cold sweat came out. Wen Qima quietly leaned over to Chen Mai's ear. Small voice. Captain Wei? Can you really get away with this? What are you afraid of? Our procedures are all handed out from the regular army and they're all real. But you only submitted Lin Chia's application yesterday. It doesn't make sense to come so soon, does it? Are you sure that are these real? Chen Mai's mouth twitched slightly and soon they were real. But I don't understand. We can wait for the official documents to come to the door. Why so hurry? It's not us, it's Lin Chia, this kid. Chen Mai took a look at his aunt, who was busy in the kitchen, and whispered that he was afraid that his aunt would not believe the contents of the letter and would go directly to the government for confirmation. But those cadres at the bottom of the government did not know about our existence. You know what I mean? Got it. When Qimo nodded, sat up straight and gave a standard smile. Ms. Wang Fong, you can rest assured, we are the regular army. Lin's 7 nights to join the army in Wulumuki is also approved. There is no problem. One side of Yang Jin helpless hold forehead. The aunt who was making tea shuddered. The cup in her hand fell directly onto the table. She turned stiffly and opened her eyes wide. Didn't he go to Gigihar?